Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation. Is Pastor Justin Erickson here? Hi. And you're from Four Peaks Community Church.
Should we pray? Father in heaven, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here together. We thank you for each one of the council members who is here tonight. Your word tells us that they are here by your own divine choosing, and you call them ministers for our good. And so I pray that you will give them wisdom to execute justice according to your standard. And I pray that you will give them favor in the eyes of the people that they serve, that they might have wisdom and grace and discretion to make the decisions that they need to make. And I pray that what they approve would be what you approve. Lord, you tell us that they are put here in this place for this time. And I just ask that you will go before them, and the issues that they have to address tonight and the people that they encounter that they serve would all unify themselves in a way that your word says. You say, seek the welfare of the city. And so, Father, we're here to seek your favor on our town and ask that you will bless us, and that you will use leaders here tonight to that end. I pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Here.
Councilmember Yates,
Present.
Councilmember Leger, Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Dickey,
Here.
Councilmember Elke is absent tonight, and we're not seeing Councilmember Henson yet.
We apologize for being a couple minutes late. We had an executive session. So, looks like we are all ready. And I'll get right into my report on recent events related to economic development. And for that, I'd like to highlight 3 meetings that I attended this month. The first being the Maricopa Association of Governments. In there, at that meeting, there was discussion centered around the restoration of the HERF funds by the legislature. The legislature is proposing $110 million from their surplus funds for fiscal year 15 and 16. The MAG members all voted to support this restoration by sending a letter to each legislature. Right now, there's no legislative action plan for restoration in 17, since it is predicted that even with just cost of living increases in the budget, Arizona will be facing a $500 million shortfall. As to the past reduction in HERF funds that go to the cities and towns, the legislature has been funding DPS from that source. It was noted at the meeting that one of MAG's chief functions is the expansion of our highway and freeway systems. And each time that's done, more DPS officers are needed for the new stretch of road. Currently, there's no other funding source for DPS. Also at the MAG meeting, the transportation plan was voted on. That's the general focus plan for 2035. It was noted that changes could be made in the future to this plan. There was a lot of discussion about getting people to use mass transit instead of their vehicles, but there was no real push for connectivity in the plan that they have now. It's understandable that with the amount of congestion they're dealing with in the metropolitan areas and the limited funds, that they are doing the best with what revenue they have. But that still leaves Fountain Hills out of any consideration for connectivity to the mass transit system. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. And then I'd like to update you on the Greater Phoenix Economic Council meeting, a continuation of discussion of the Velocity program to bring high-tech jobs to the Valley and the push for education in the high technology fields, especially engineering. And they plan on doing this starting from the K level, following right through college. The only way that the Valley can compete with other cities like Austin, for example, that's a big competing city with us, is to be able to supply the high-tech labor pool that a corporation is looking for when they decide to locate or to relocate. Lastly, I attended the Economic Development Committee meeting of MAG and heard discussions about further trade with Canada and Mexico, seeking business opportunities for relocation to the valley and also expansion of tourism. The important part of that discussion focused on a more cohesive plan for a joint effort with all cities and towns and more of a unified effort of the various state agencies. So those are just some of the highlights of the meeting that I thought that you would be interested in. And now I am going to go to Councilman Brown, who'd like to give us a...
Thank you, Mayor. I took an interesting telephone call last night from the director of Southwest Kidneys Dialysis Center, and Fountain Hills has been selected to be their next town to have the new center built in, and we are glad to take that call, and I would like to point out that the Senior Services Commission has played a huge role. They have stayed in the ear of the Southwest Kidney organization now for well over a year, and they are going to be coming to town, probably hoping to actually purchase property and having their own facilities in town. And if, regardless as to whether they actually purchase or build, I would put the challenge to our town manager, Ken, to please expedite the permitting process, not for the Southwest Kidney people, but for our citizens that are currently traveling many miles for their dialysis. And I think we should open our doors wide open, because it's been a long, long road getting Southwest Kidney to come to town. And thank the Senior Services Commission.
And thank you, because I know you did a lot of work on this also.
I was there. Thank you.
Any call to the public?
Mayor, one, Linda Bordeaux.
Hey, Linda.
Hello, greetings. I haven't seen you in a while. I came to ask that you reconsider, we had set in place many years ago what foliage we can and can't plant in Fountain Hills to conserve water. And I'm asking that the council reconsider that for when it comes to fruit trees, for a number of reasons. The main one being the large company Monsanto and the genetically modified organisms that are pervasive throughout all of our food. It's really important that we understand the dangers of genetically modified foods. They're causing a lot of problems for a lot of people. The Monsanto Corporation has pretty much locked up the industry for these seeds. They force farmers to buy the seeds. The seeds that they purchase cannot regrow on their own, so the farmers must rebuy every year. And they're taking bacteria and things from other plants like fish DNA and adding them to tomatoes so that they don't frost on the vine, et cetera, et cetera. The byproduct from all of this is causing a lot of health reasons, a lot of health issues for a lot of people. So it would be nice if we could grow our own citrus. I know the town has a lot of citrus in it, and we had stopped that years ago. Not only could you eat the citrus, but you can use it for various other things, like the peels from an orange can be added to some white vinegar and just kept in a bottle for a while, and it makes an incredible cleaner that's biodegradable, and the list goes on and on. Great, the grapefruit peels are antifungal, antibacterial, and so on. Ironically, one of the reasons the water company wants to raise our rates is they said that we conserve too much water. So, maybe there's a little wiggle room there for us to go ahead and plant the fruit trees and get some nice natural food. For anybody, for council members, anybody watching at home, there's a Facebook page called Backyard Farmer. They're sustainable, all locally grown produce, and they deliver right to your door, except not in Fountain Hills. The closest we can get is Scottsdale. So if we have a lot more folks in town, we're looking to get the Fountain Hills zip code added to that so we can get fresh local produce. Until then, I would encourage people to go to the farmers market. They have some great local produce and farmers there that can give us that nice fresh food without the added chemicals from Monsanto. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And you are Linda Bordeaux from Fountain Hills.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
No, Mayor.
All right, then we'll go on to the consent agenda items. We have 6. Can I get a motion to accept them as written?
Mayor, so moved.
Second.
And I need a roll call vote on those, please.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Here.
Councilmember
Yes.
Dickey,
Yes.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Yates,
Aye.
and Councilmember Leger.
Aye down here.
Mayor, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll start with the regular agenda items. Consideration of Resolution 2014-02, approving an IGA with Fountain Hills Unified School District to make school facilities available to the town in the event of an emergency or disaster. Randy. Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, one of the missions of the fire department is to do emergency planning. And one important aspect of preparedness is to be able to have agreements in place with other entities, so if we have an event, that the sharing of resources can occur quickly and easily with prearranged terms and expectations for both parties. This IGA with the Fountain Hills Unified School District will allow us to use their facilities in times of a large emergency or disaster for the sheltering of evacuated population. And just for your information, in the future, we'd like to go ahead and enter into IGAs with other entities as well that have potential resources for us to use. The school board has already reviewed and approved this IGA, and so we're just waiting on you. And I'll take any questions you might have.
Any questions? Questions? No? Okay. Then can I get a motion to accept?
Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2014-02, approving the intergovernmental agreement with Fountain Hills Unified School District.
Second.
Is there any public that wish to speak on this?
No, Mayor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 5-0.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Randy. Number 8, consideration of resolution 2014-10, accepting a utility easement agreement with Buckeye West LLC, doing business at Sunridge Canyon Golf. Mark.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. The agreement before you this evening is a culmination of a couple of years of work. When the new owner took over for the Sunridge Canyon Golf Course, one of the issues that they brought up was the fact that we have to have access across their property to a pump house. That pump house allows us to turn on water that brings effluent from their lake, which they call number 10, across the road, Golden Eagle Boulevard, to Fountain Park, to Golden Eagle Park. We've been working on an agreement that spells out the terms and conditions of that, providing insurance, et cetera, for almost 2 years, perhaps. In addition to that, there was, you may recall, a long extended period when the sanitary district was looking at the potential source for additional water because there was concern that they would run out of effluent water. So during that period, we did not continue to have any discussions on this topic because we want to make sure, obviously, that the issue of that there would, in fact, be effluent water be resolved before we brought it forward. So with that behind us, we continue to negotiate, and what you see in front of you is the culmination of all those efforts. So it basically provides us the access that we needed, provides the protection insurance-wise that Sunridge Canyon was seeking. And then there is an additional charge there that I specified of $5,000 to help cover the cost of treating Lake Number 10. And I did get some information from them specific to those costs, and it includes everything from recirculating the water in the lake to help control algae, to the addition of white amur fish into the lake to help control algae, and a variety of other means that they use to control the algae, which we obviously directly benefit from. While they weren't able to provide me the actual cost for treating that lake, there's an adjacent lake that they estimate that cost on an annual basis $100,000. So, and we use about 10 to 13% of the water out of Lake Number 10, they estimate. So it seems like a very good deal, and staff is recommending acceptance of the agreement as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Mark or discussion on this item? Anybody from the public?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then can I get a motion to accept?
Mayor, I move to accept the motion to approve Resolution 2014-10.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. All right, now I will open public hearing on the town's infrastructure improvements plan as required by ARS 9-463.05. Andrew.
Mayor, as you know, we've been trudging through the process that's now required to adopt a new development fees. The process is moving at the best pace that is possible at the moment, but one of the requirements is to hold the public hearing tonight. We'll be back in front of you in another 30 days or so. I believe we're shooting for the 10th of March for the adoption of the IIP, which is the first step in adoption of the fee study that will come about 60 days following that. So this is step one. This is your opportunity to hear from the public if they have any concerns about the IIP. If they don't, then we will move along to the next step in the process in March.
Okay. Any speaker cards on this item?
No, Mayor.
No? Okay, any comments or questions from council? All right, then I will close the public hearing. Consideration of the interview process to be used to fill the Town of Fountain Hills vacancy for the presiding judge position. And Julie, Andrew, Joan, who wants to go?
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council.
Ken?
As you know, with Judge Eisenberg, when he tendered his resignation, we've been using pro temps for the last number of months, and we've put the application out for the position and posted it. We received 22 applications and being administered through our human resource administrator and the court administrator who has gone through those. In the past, the interview panel has been pretty much the members of council, members of staff to do this. Tonight we're seeking direction to find out which path you want to take, whether you want to go down that same path or you want to look at another one. My recommendation to you would be that the council, because the presiding judge is an appointed position by the entire council, as well as the town attorney and myself, the town manager, I would recommend that it stay with the town council, and that staff assist you with the HR review. You need to shortlist the 22 applications. We do have some recommendations of qualified applicants in there that you can shortlist down, and then so that you could create an interview process, and that the council interviews those for a selected candidate.
Okay. Are we going to hear anything from Andrew or Joan on this, or?
Do you have any questions from HR? You know, she handled Joan handled the applications. The legal side of this is, you know, the council's responsibility for the appointment of the position.
Okay, then. Council discussion, how do we feel about the proposal that Ken just spoke about, that the entire council would interview the potential candidates?
Oh, Mayor, I just have a question about the way the agenda item is, because it appears to have the suggested motion to approve as stated the selection process, which would be the town manager, council member, court administrator, and maybe somebody from another municipality, and the human services administrator. So am I hearing that you're not recommending what's here, or?
I'm preferring that you consider being the council, which is a level playing field, all 7 of you, have an opportunity to review all the interviewed candidates so that you'll all see them, rather than having basically a subcommittee do that for you and then bring one to you. You won't have that opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
Any other comments? Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with town manager. I believe that I would like to have the opportunity to interview the 3 or 4 selected possible judges.
Councilman Yates?
Thank you, Mayor. Andrew, do we have a precedence, some of the other municipalities that operate the same way on hiring similar positions?
There is about as many different ways as there are municipalities. Some have formal judicial appointment advisory committees that they have as standing or ad hoc committees that will make a recommendation to the council after doing the interviews. Others will do all the interviews themselves, and then there's hybrids of both. So whatever process you all are most comfortable with is the right fit for you. There isn't any real, there's no formula for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, personally, I'm in favor of the proposal by Ken, because I would rather the entire council make this decision rather than a subcommittee. Anyone else? Any speaker cards on this?
Mayor, if I'm,
No, Mayor.
go ahead.
No speaker.
If I may, I'm pretty much in agreement with all of that. I'm just wondering if there's any value to having the court administrator in with us. I know last time when we did this, there were a lot of logistical questions that came up that frankly, I'm not a lawyer. Councilman Elke's a lawyer, he was very much familiar with the process, but there were a lot of questions that I had as a layperson that the court administrator was able to answer, walk us through, and help us out, just kind of deciphering all of that. So, as I said, I'm in favor of what I'm hearing. I think the court administrator should be part of that group.
Ken, in your
All right.
proposal, were you thinking
Excellent
about
idea.
that?
That was, basically, as a staff resource, was the court administrator and the HR administrator to assist you with the process.
That's what you were proposing?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're all in agreement, and can I get a motion then to go with this process?
Madam Mayor, I move that we interview the position for presiding judge as stated by our town manager to be included with what Councilman Leger added. If we need more specific, the council will do the interview with the help of, what is that position? Court administrator, thank you.
Court administrator
And HR.
and HR.
Second, I think.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor,
Okay,
5-0.
great. Okay, we can go on to number 11, presentation by our Deputy Town Manager, Julie Getty, regarding the town's budget report for all funds for the second quarter ending December 31st, 2013.
Thank you, Mayor. The second quarter report is for the first half of the fiscal year. It's the period of July through December. And this chart here is the total for all the funds that the town has, all 24 of them. And the total receipts so far, $8.6 million, which is 93% for the general fund and 95% for the HERF for the Streets Fund. And again, the general fund is our main operating fund. It funds all our public safety, community center, and the general operations of the town, and that's the one we typically focus on. The general fund revenues, again, this shows is a total of $6.1 million, which is 71% of all town revenues. The two combined revenue sources of the local sales tax and the state shared revenues, it's about 92% of the town's general fund operating funds. The revenues are slightly behind budget projection, but because of the lag, they don't really reflect July through December. The December through March is really our winter visitor season, and typically the next 6 months is where the revenues come in primarily. So at this time, we are not concerned about a budget shortfall. There are two state shared revenues that are in the general fund. There used to be 3, the vehicle license tax, but now that is dedicated to the pavement management program. The state income tax is a predictable revenue source because it's based on 2 years prior, so we know exactly how much is supposed to come in. It's divided up by the league, so we know what those numbers are. Again, the state sales tax, it is lagging slightly because, again, this is our busy season, so we're not concerned about it not meeting projections. Our local sales tax is a reflection of our local economy. Compared to last year, our total receipts in our local sales tax is up 6%, which is a good sign for the economy. In the retail category, that's up 5.2% over last fiscal year, and it's 3% higher than the last 5 years' average. So again, that is a good sign for the town.
I have a question, just about sales tax.
Sure.
Thank you. Do we collect sales tax on the medical marijuana dispensary?
Mayor, members of council, yes.
And does that go into retail, or is that a different category?
That would be considered retail.
Thank you.
The next category is our restaurants, and the restaurants continue to show signs of an economic recovery. They're up 4.5% from the prior year, and they're 10% higher than the past 5-year average. The telecom is another category, and it's also increased. It's up 3% over last year, and this includes utilities, telecommunications, such as cell phones, landlines, etc. And compared to the 5-year average, that's also up about 3%. Our construction sales tax is based on our building activity, and the building activity has picked up this year. Compared to calendar year 2012, we had 11 single-family homes and 0 multifamily home permits. For 2013, we have 23 single-family and 14 multifamily. The permits are up about 64% to about $53,000 compared to last year. Half of the revenue of this category of sales tax is dedicated to capital projects. On the expenditure side, the law enforcement and the fire, those expenses are up 3%. We have a contract with both agencies, and that's built into the contract. The total budget is up 3% over last year, but it's 4% lower than budgeted. And as always, expenditures will be monitored so that we do not exceed the available resources. Other funds, those are the funds that are restricted for a specific purpose, such as the Highway User Revenue Fund, and this is the one that we refer to as HERF or Streets, and it includes 2 main sources of revenue from the state and county. One is HERF, and that was about $630,000 that we received for the first half, and the other is the vehicle license tax that was previously in the general fund and is now dedicated to pavement management. And compared to last year, the vehicle license tax is up 7%. The HERF expenditures, or the street expenditures, again, the council priority for this fiscal year was pavement management, and you can see that 81% of that budget is dedicated and has been spent on pavement management, including $1 million from the CIP. So $1.7 million through December, with another $447,000 committed between now and July for pavement management. Other restricted funds include grants and debt service, and the debt service includes principal and interest on bonds, with the principal payment being made in the second half of the fiscal year, which is why you see the revenue so much higher than the expenditures. And on fund balance, our fund balance represents all the town's reserves, including those that are restricted. The town has invested the reserves in securities that are backed by the full faith and credit of the government. We use 2 investment managers, PFM Asset Management and the local government investment pool. So in summary, the general fund revenues and expenditures are balanced. Our fund balances remain healthy for all our funds. The revenues are 77% under budget, but higher than last fiscal year. The expenditures are 6% under budget and 1.8% higher than last fiscal year. And again, the pavement management remains a priority and is funded through HERF and vehicle license tax. And the local economic indicators remain positive with a 6% increase over the prior year. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Julie? Yes.
Mayor, if I may, it's really not a question. It's more of a comment. As I was sitting at my desk at home reviewing this packet, I suddenly realized this is one of many, many presentations that Julie has provided us. And suddenly it struck me that I believe this might be the last presentation you'll be providing us before you retire. So I just want to take a moment to say your presentation was excellent as usual. You've done a tremendous job. As a council member, particularly a newbie, I thank you for teaching me so much about the complexities of municipal financing. I'm far from knowing everything I need to know. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything you've done, and good luck to you and your husband in the future.
Thank you.
You're here.
Thank you.
All right, now, I'm sorry. Do you want to say something?
No.
Oh, you're so quiet today. Okay, then we'll go on to number 12, which is discussion on the legislative bulletin or any other action related to the legislature.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council, again, you have the legislative overview from the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. We did put in House Bill 2378, which was introduced by Representative Olson and Senator Driggs, and it was regarding the prohibition of municipal taxes and fees. This one is pretty much centered toward Paradise Valley and their fire fee that they've charged. This grandfathers them in, but allows no one else to do this. So we will keep, as we talked about in the retreat, we'll keep tabs on this to find out how far it's going and what it's going to do.
Okay. I think one of the most popular ones that we've been getting emails on is 2379. Do we have anyone here who wanted to talk on this particular one? No. Okay, so I assume everybody wants to talk about 2379? Yes. Okay, so just so the general public knows what this is, I'm just going to give you a little summary, as easy as I can. Summary, it's kind of complicated. Current law allows for secondary property taxes to be levied to fund special taxing districts. Most special taxing districts have no limitation on the growth of secondary tax levies, but some districts do have maximum tax rates which they cannot exceed. House Bill 2379 limits secondary property taxes levied by county free library, county jail, and public health services district to the amount levied in the preceding tax year, adjusted annually by a percentage equal to the rate of change in the levy limit between the current year and the preceding year for the county in which the district resides. Now, I know it sounds kind of complicated to people that haven't read this whole stack, but basically it means that there were certain districts that could increase their tax rate every year, and there was no cap on that, and they could do that without a vote of the people. So what this bill is doing is capping that at 2%. However, after receiving emails and grabbing onto a state legislator that I happen to know and saying, you know, as Ken usually says, the devil is in the details. Let's look at these comments from the Maricopa County Library District and see, you know, what they're saying about the shortfall. And yes, we have discovered that Maricopa County does have a problem similar to Pima County. The Maricopa County Library District is using $6 million in prior year property tax monies in their 14 library budget. So what that does is that causes them to, actually, they would end up with a loss of $14.5 million. So my next question to my friendly legislator was, okay, what can we do about it? Because does this look like it's going to go through? And according to him, it does look like it's going to go through. So we need some kind of a fix on this. So what he's proposing, there is one proposal, but I know that he's also open to discuss this with members of the library board. One suggestion is to use a one-year transitional provision setting the 15 rate. They take into account their usage of prior year balances. After 15, they would only be able to increase by 2%. So taking into account that they use surplus and just going back to look at, let's say they didn't use the surplus and bringing them back up to that level where they would have been had they not used the surplus, and go by that, which kind of makes them even with everybody else. So it kind of brings it up fair for the next year, so they're up to the level, because according to the way they're looking at it, they certainly wouldn't even have enough to cover their budget if this continued. So I think with all of this that I've been reading and all of this information I've been getting from JLBC, it looks like they didn't look at these two, Pima and Maricopa County districts, when they decided on this, and it definitely needs a fix to help them out, because using their surplus shouldn't be a penalty that they didn't raise the taxes, that they use their surplus instead every year. So I know this is kind of complicated, but everybody pretty much here knows what it's about.
Well, Mayor, even though there seems to be some options in the legislature to fix it, I think we could just decide of ourselves if we'd like to take a stand or a position to oppose the bill 2379, and that maybe would be at least an action that we could take here that would help to encourage the our legislators and all of them in the committees that'll be looking at this, at least, and then if they want to try to fix it, then that's great, but at least this would be a clear message from us.
Well,
Interested in what everybody else would, want to say, and I think we might have a speaker on it too.
Yeah, well, I'd be willing to say that in its present form, 2379 is certainly not acceptable, and encourage them to fix it. And I really think, honestly, that they do want to fix it. I think they just didn't realize. I think they were aware of Pima District, and that's why I think they had already written in some provisions for Pima, and then not realizing until they heard from Maricopa that they're in the same situation. So I really think that they're going to fix it, and we could, Ken, as our liaison to the legislature, could inform them that in the present state, it's unacceptable, and we would want them to fix this. And also, I think it would be a great idea if someone from the library board actually sat down with Representative Kavanaugh, who has offered to add something to fix this. But I think it would be good if they actually talked to him about it, so that he's pretty clear on how this could get fixed. Do you have a speaker? You're waving at me?
It's on a different portion of this, so if you want to finish this conversation, I can come back, but it's on Leeds and Towns.
It's
Okay.
on something else.
Okay, okay. This is Linda's, and this is on something else?
It's on that section, but not
Okay.
your conversation right now.
All right, okay, well, then we'll stick to this conversation first, and then we'll go to you.
Mayor?
Councilman Dickey?
I just had a question, or a comment, because the overall premise of this bill is still a legislative overreach to Maricopa County in general, not just the library district, but the health district and the others, in that the famous question, what problem are they trying to solve? It seems to me that the legislature is looking to overreach into mandating what the counties can do, which are elected boards also, and decide how they're going to try to gain revenues for the things that they are attempting to do. So any more than we don't like to be told as a municipality in general how we can go about doing the things that are best for our communities, just the overall premise of it is something that, if short of their fix being they won't do it, I'm not sure I, would end up liking the fix, but I'm very happy that it sounds like you and maybe the others here, and we'll hear from them, we'll at least be able to say we oppose 2379.
And I think they're just bringing it also into line with some of the other districts where there's also a cap, community college districts, and there are a number of others. But I know that the league is not taking a position on this because they feel that taxpayers might like this. So there's pretty much a balance on both sides, because taxpayers are worried that that there could be a high increase. So it's just capping it at what they feel is inflation at 2%. And I don't really have any problem with that, because I think we do have an obligation to look out for our taxpayers as well. So I think it's a good compromise.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Do we have, in our packet, we have a graph. Is it possible we could put that graph up there that has history of, I'm going to try to simplify this. And I think it's not on there? It's not on there. Okay. Well, I guess I'll simplify it in words. Pictures usually speak a lot clearer than words. I would agree with Councilwoman Dickey. I believe that this is a case of legislative overreach, something that most of us should be familiar with up here. Remember TPT? Remember consolidated elections? Remember Arizona Water Resources? On and on and on. Fireworks? Consolidated elections, sweeping of LTAF funds, sweeping of HERF funds. I mean, this clearly is a case of legislative overreach. The library district has self-imposed increases currently, and they currently have the flexibility with these self-imposed increases to manage their cost, adjusting to economic conditions and market conditions. And my goodness, I think they've done a tremendous job. Looking at the numbers, I wish we had a picture. Since 2003 to 2014, the range of the assessment has been between 3 cents per $100 evaluation, with the high of 5 cents. In over 12 years, it's been an average of 4 cents. I think that this is just insane. I brought along my tax bill for anyone that would be interested in looking at, once again, simplifying it. In 2012, the library district charged our household $19.32. In 2013, the library district charged our house $17.20. Now think about that. My wife makes one trip to the library rather than purchasing a book. She has her value back. We've had some emails from some folks that are friends of the library that have indicated the frequency of the use of that asset. There's not an asset in this town that probably is more frequently used than the library. I think that this is just overreach, as Councilwoman Dickey stated. I think it's unnecessary. I think they've done a tremendous job managing expenses. And there's a reason why secondary taxes typically don't have a cap, because we leave it to those elected boards in those districts as professionals to make decisions to manage their own cost. For example, once again, looking at my tax bill, we have the Community College District. We have the East Valley Institute of Technology. We have Flood Control District. We have Central Water Conservation District. We have Fire District. We have Library District, as we're speaking about. We have the Health District. We have the Sanitary District. So are we going to start capping and telling all these people how to do business? I don't think so. So the bottom line is, I would second if there was an motion to basically repeal this bill, that is my position as an elected official. We'll vote on it, and I think that should be the message from our town in terms of as much leverage as we have on our vote. Thank you, Mayor.
Most of those districts that you mentioned already do have a cap. The only ones that don't have a cap are the ones that are going to be capped in this bill. They already have a cap.
Putting that,
Excuse me, they already have a cap. And one of the reasons why the bills are so low is because they use their surplus. And the reason they had a surplus is because they charged more than they actually needed. So therefore, they had the surplus, and they used the surplus rather than raising the tax rate. So that's why it was possibly artificially low. This just caps it along with all of the other districts to make all the districts the same at 2%. And this will, with the fix, bring everyone up pretty much even. So I don't think we can say that it's that low and it's going to stay that low. That's only because the surplus was used the same as in Pima County.
was the surplus used in 2003?
The surplus has been used, I don't know exactly how many years. I could go through all of this and look, but it was the surplus that brought that down, rather than while other districts were raising a certain percentage, they had a surplus, and they had a surplus because they were charging too much, and after their audit, they had to it would either be they would have to return the surplus to the people or use it. So they decided to use it rather than raise the rate. So we have unless we calculate what it would have been had they not used the surplus, I guess it would have been the 25 million. This brings it down to the 14 million, which is what makes it less. So I don't have a problem with the cap, because I think we also have to look out for the taxpayer. And, well, the library board has proven itself to be very responsible. We still have to make sure that all the boards are responsible to the taxpayer.
Mayor, if I may, I'm also looking out for the taxpayer, and taxes are something we pay, and hopefully in return, there's a value product and service, and I think the district has provided that in the past, and I am confident they'll do it in the future at the lowest cost possible, because historically, that's what they've done. They've been judicious, and they've demonstrated that to be the case. So once again, just simply speaking, I guess I vote in favor of the district. The district wouldn't be pushing back on it if they didn't see an issue with it. And once again, I've heard this before, and our own municipality has had a negative impact with these so-called legislative fixes, and I think this is just one more. That is my opinion. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilman Dickey?
Thanks, Mayor. I'll make a motion, see how everybody lands. I'll move for the town manager and/or staff to submit to the appropriate legislators a statement on behalf of the council in support of the Maricopa County Library District and the Fountain Hills Friends of the Library, and join with them to urge defeat of House Bill 2379.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Is there anyone who wants to speak on this?
No, Mayor.
No. Okay. All right, I'll call for the vote. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Leger?
Aye.
Councilmember Dickey?
Aye.
Councilmember Yates?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
And Mayor Kavanaugh?
No.
Mayor 4-1.
And the only reason like I said, is because I think it's a good fix for the taxpayer, and also I think this can be worked out to the satisfaction of the library district, working with the legislature. Okay, so let's go on to, we have a few other bills of interest. Was there one in particular that a resident wanted to talk about?
So, SB 1063?
1063. All right, that doesn't seem to be on our radar here. 1060. Okay, 1063. Okay, that's involving the I can say that. Yes, thank you. Bev, we have our speaker.
Linda Bordeaux?
Thank you.
Greetings again. This caught my attention as far as I am aware, and I could be wrong because I haven't been to Town Hall in a few months, but currently there is no storage facility out in front of this building for someone such as myself to store my concealed weapon. Is that correct, or did we put one in?
That's correct.
There-
There's one by Town Hall.
Right out in front?
The Town Hall, yes.
Okay.
At that entrance.
Okay, then that's all my comment was, because as far as I knew last time I was here, there wasn't one, and that was a problem. Okay, so I withdraw my statement. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so just going by the league notes, SB 1161, which was kind of nicknamed the Liberty Charter. It's a bill that's been held, so it's probably not going to go forward, and that was one that the league is already opposing for us. They have explained it as excessive regulation and hostility to economic development, among other things. So they're going to be working against that already. If anybody disagrees with that, you disagree with that, with the league going against 1161?
No, I don't disagree at all. I just wanted you to know that the request to speak function, which they decided to change the day before or the day of session starting instead of doing it while they were off all these months, is not working. So I put in my request to speak against 1161, and it was not recognized and did not register. There's been another bill that I did that, and I finally found out today that there has been a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's being registered or not, but, and I couldn't remember if we as a council had already decided
I
to
don't think-
oppose that bill.
No, it hasn't come up. This is the first time I think we're really discussing. But I had the exact same problem when trying to go in on 1161. It said no, it wouldn't take my comment. And then I I immediately called my husband, who said, why can't I comment? And he called IT, and IT, of course, said, oh, you know, technical difficulties. Then they fixed it for a while, and then it wasn't working again. So I guess they're aware of the problem. You got the same thing I got, that no comment, you couldn't click on it to comment.
Oh, Mayor, actually, it went in. I mean, I was able
Oh,
to actually
okay.
comment, because that's the only way you can even identify yourself, except for
Yeah.
by your name. So if you want to say I'm on a council or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that's, you have to do it with a comment, which isn't the way it used to be.
Right.
And another bill, which was the repeal of the voter bill thing that's supposed to be on the ballot, there were all these people online that were signing up for requests to speak and not going actually down there and not saying they need to speak. And it wasn't registered, so when the actual committee was going on, Eddie Farnsworth said,
Sorry, go ahead.
he said, he didn't read, usually they read into the record, you know, so many people opposed or whatever, and it was all lost. So,
Okay.
it's not
Well,
very
maybe
democratic.
we could ask Ken to contact them about the problems we're having about registering. Okay, you can do that, right? You're our liaison. Okay, let's see. I think, I wanted to also talk about this utility tax exemption that the governor is proposing, to eliminate the state and local TPT tax from the sale of electricity used in manufacturing and smelting as an economic development incentive. The league is going to be working against this. It's going to be about $30 million, they estimate, in loss to the state. But at first, it was only going to be state taxes, and now they're talking about town and city taxes also. And the league has said that this is written so broadly right now that somebody could be actually working in their garage on some project, and they could claim that they don't have to pay electricity on that. So it really is a problem bill, and they're going to be working to fight against this. So does anybody want to talk about the utility tax exemption bill? No? Okay, TPT was just an update. HERF was just an update. And there's some pension bills going around, which the league seems to be in favor of. They think they're going to fix some things with that. So other than those bills, I don't really have any other bills.
Mayor,
You have something?
you mentioned, or Ken mentioned 2378, the municipal taxes and
2378.
fees prohibition. Andrew, probably going to ask you again, I've asked you this a zillion times, but I don't understand why this is even okay at all, because of the way it says that a municipality cannot levy or assess a tax, which is fine, because we don't do that, or a fee against property owners based on the size or value of their property in order to fund any public service. So if our fire inspections are based on square footage, if our permit fees for houses are based on how big that house is going to be, I mean, I don't understand, like, does this really have the kind of ramifications that it appears to have? We cannot charge a fee for any public service, which would mean like our existence, because that's why we're here, on anything based on the size, or the stormwater fee thing. If that ended up being based on the size of a water meter. So how come everybody's hair isn't on fire about this thing?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Dickey, I think everybody's hair is on fire about this thing because of that huge problem, but also because the statute's exemption seems to eat itself. The follow-up in the remaining text there says that unless it's allowed to be levied pursuant to law, and particularly Title IX. Well, if you talk to Paradise Valley, they believe that they are authorized to levy this fee under Title IX. So the exception consumes the rule, and it's not only a circular bill, now it also has overbreadth that is stunning. And I think that everybody is up in arms that the drafter of the bill is clearly not thinking through what municipalities actually do. And most of what municipalities do is fee-based And a lot of it is based upon the size of the home or other things that come in, and I think it hopefully will not move forward in the current form.
Well, Mayor and Andrew, it passed out of government 602. So I really think that we might want to take this a little bit further because it already did go through that, and this was obviously got pretty far last year too. And our particular legislators seem to be in favor of it. So maybe there's a message that needs to be communicated. I don't know enough about what it actually would do to us, but I have sort of a motion that would ask for more information about it. And I'll offer that, and if you don't know what I'm saying, then we'll just start again. But I would move to direct the town manager to explore the ramifications of this proposal to the ability of the town of Fountain Hills to raise revenue in the future so that we may decide whether or not to take a position. So I'm not asking to take a position, not
Okay.
yet.
Do we need a motion
Yeah,
for
do
that,
we
or
need
could
to
we
vote
just,
on that?
I think we could
I
just,
would recommend a motion.
okay,
That was
Alright.
the motion.
all right, that was it.
Second?
Get a second.
Anybody second?
I'd second that.
Okay.
I thought you
Anybody
were.
want to discuss the motion? No? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor,
Okay.
5-0.
Thank you.
All right, so is that it, or you want to talk about chickens? No? Okay. Chickens?
Chickens.
Chicken bill?
We already allowed one.
Okay, then we'll go on to number 14, which is a summary of recent events by the council. Anybody from the council want to tell us about some recent events or something you've done? Or, I know we've already heard from Councilman Brown on the great work that he's been doing with our bringing dialysis to the town. Does anybody else have anything that you've had done that you want to tell us about? Not that?
No. Is this the same place where we wrap up when people speak to
No,
us?
not yet.
Oh, okay.
This is that new section we put in where you could,
Okay.
isn't this the new section?
Not yet.
Not yet?
This in the.
We adopted it tonight, sorry.
We just adopted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not,
All right, well, we're
we just
first.
adopted it tonight, so it hasn't been put on this agenda yet.
Oh, okay. So I can't ask them? This says report recent activities. Well, okay. I asked them anyway, like I usually do. All right, so then,
I wanted to just mention, because Mrs. Bordeaux mentioned the,
Yeah.
mentioned the low water vegetation, and I thought maybe there could be some follow-up, because there are parts of the yard that I think you can do things like that, so.
was this was passed by a past council years ago, or what's the story, history on the low water and including fruit trees, Andrew?
Well, you're really taxing my memory on this one, Madam Mayor. There was a desert plant preservation change to the ordinance, probably 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I mean, it's been quite a while. But most of the plant restrictions are actually from the state on the low water use plant list, but most of those restrictions are also exempted on private property. They're public landscaping issues. So I'm not sure what provisions we're dealing with, but we can certainly follow up. I'm perfectly happy for us to evaluate that again. But it's been 6 years. I can't give you
Well, that's okay.
a instant reaction to that one.
Well, that's okay. But since Ms. Bordeaux brought it up, we can look into it, okay? It certainly is a good idea. Town manager have anything else? Okay, then a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good.
Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
And